when it wasn't in 2024. For a long time, I had measured my level of success. It was always, how many deals was I doing and what does the profit look like? We are emotional beings.
Yes.
Can't just say that we're robots. We can't just shut it off. We always want to talk about how great things are going, how wonderful things are going, and nobody really wants to show where the pain is.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, and my first reaction was, oh, that's painful. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to process this. Why is he doing this to me? That's just hocus pocus. Revenue share is not real.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Metcalf, founder of Cambium and a business partner at Elite Builders at eXp. And I have with me Mark Ramey, and we're going to talk about a number of different facets of evolving in the real estate industry and the work that we've done together. So Mark, welcome. Thank you for being with me.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So tell everyone who's listening a little bit about where you are in the real estate business and how they could reach you.
Sure. So I'm in Orlando, Florida. Started in 2002. So what is that? 23 years.
Yeah, me too. We're brother and sister in that. That's cool.
Yep.
So I remember cold calling you many years ago. I don't remember if someone suggested that I reach out to you, and you were so kind to me.
Thank you.
To be able to make that initial connection. And then we met again last year through Elite Builders.
Yes.
And I think I was subbing in for Aaron, and then we got to work together. And then we continued to do a little bit of work together. So I'd like to explore with you to being able to look at your business had evolved.
Yeah.
You've been a top producer for a number of years.
Yep.
Let's talk about this most recent connection that you and I had, where you had been running a business with administrative support, being a top producer, now wanted to get into agent attraction, and you're in transition.
Yeah. So the analogy that I would place on it is I felt over the course of the last year that you were helping me through that I had one foot on one island and another foot on another island. And the one island is the island that I'd been part of for 22 years, which was production. And then the other island was the new thing that I feel is important, that I'm passionate about, is coaching, guiding agents to their greatest success, and also attracting them to a model and a platform that's going to cause them to be able to grow to whatever they want to be.
Right.
Without limit.
And so you were standing on both islands.
Yeah.
And in that transition, one of the things you and I looked at is what's happening with the profitability of your business and what kind of support do you really need now based on the production you're intending to do. Now, granted, this was also 2024, 2023.
Yes.
It was hard.
Correct. Yeah, we're in a transaction desert.
Yes.
I mean, with transactions going from 6 million in 2023 to about 3.9 million in 2024, all that was swirling around too.
Yes.
While I had one foot on one island and one foot on the other, and they felt like they were going like this. And I was just like, okay, what's going on? Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
A lot of change happening all at once.
A lot of change. And so what was the awareness that you had about the money you were earning and the money you were spending?
Yeah, so the awareness, 2022, 2023 were amazing years financially. And then 2024 hit. And while I was learning new skills, presenting, teaching, all of that, like reinforcing those skills, trying to maintain the same level of business that 2022 and 2023 were providing simply because the market was there for us when it wasn't in 2024. For a long time, I had measured my level of success. It was always, how many deals was I doing and what does the profit look like? During the year of 2024, it was painful because I wasn't profitable. I mean, I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, thank you.
You came into my experience and I had plenty, I would say, I believed I was being distracted by learning new skills and everything, but that's what I was supposed to be doing. And while all that was happening, I felt that I was in turmoil because my transactions were here down. And my measurement of my success was the transactions. and you came in and you guided me very gently. You were holding up a mirror to me saying, all right, let's look at what we know is true and what we know is supposed to be. And without an accurate assessment of reality, we can't make good decisions.
Yes.
You guided me in a very gentle way. Let's just say that. Because I had to make some tough choices.
The financial element of that, there's no judgment. It really is what matches your goals and is right for your life. And so now what are the choices in there? And then some of those choices are hard.
Yeah, they are.
Because they are connected then when it comes to administrative operational support, it is connected to someone's earnings and their job and the relationship in that extent that something might need to change on the team.
Yeah, and these are humans that we're talking about. It's not like we're talking about robots.
And
these
widgets.
Are people that I've got a relationship with, and I had to make some tough decisions. And that was when you reminded me. It's so interesting. We can be in the business for 22, 23 years, and still we can not be consciously aware of the basics that are necessary to be looking at. And I think part of that is we are emotional beings.
Yes.
We can't just say that we're robots. We can't just shut it off. And processing that. And at the same time, we have to look at, like you just said, what is it? What are your goals for what you want from this business? And if I wasn't true to that, I'm not being true to the people that are on my team, whether they're going to stay with me or whether it's ideal for them not to stay with me.
Right. And then also looking at what are you doing in the business, and is this role that you then brought on for a particular purpose, are we even doing this anymore?
Correct.
And so that becomes part of the pivot, part of the navigation, where it's okay to change direction. And sometimes that impacts a role that you have created on a team, and it's no longer appropriate. Thank you for sharing that with everyone, because it's an aspect of the business that not everybody thinks about or talks about.
No.
But we're really trying to create a healthy business. And so, what does that then look like in someone's situation?
We always want to talk about how great things are going, how wonderful things are going, and nobody really wants to show where the pain is. And quite frankly, if we don't look at the pain, if we're not willing to look at what's causing the pain, then we can't grow. We can't go to that next place.
And it is very common in our industry that sales are going to cure everything.
Yeah, I'll just go do more. And, I've heard it said by our coach, the lazy mind's way of thinking is, let me just work my way out of this. Let me just do more.
Yes.
As opposed to maybe stepping back, thinking about it, and saying, what really do I want here? And where's a good solution?
Yes.
And you helped me with that.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about a different transition, because you also have an experience that is reasonably common, but is also not talked about that much, which is you made the decision to move from one brokerage to another, which is not uncommon in a real estate agent's life. And there was a cost, there was a price to pay for that. What is Aaron's expression? People come for the money, but they stay for the relationships.
Yeah.
And one of the things too is I think people hesitate to make a move because of the relationships and potentially because of the money. I think it goes the other way around too.
Correct.
So will you share with us your story of making the transition from where you were to where you are?
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. So I'm a very loyal person by nature.
Yes.
I was with a brokerage for 15 years. I actually own part of the franchise. I had the privilege and the opportunity to buy into it. And Aaron Novello is my coach. He actually said, hey, that's a great thing, Mark. I've done this, And about a year prior to me making that decision, Aaron sold his shares, and he's my coach. And my first reaction was, oh, that's painful. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to process this. Why is he doing this to me? He's making this. And then over the course of a year, Aaron's never asked me to do something that wasn't in my good, best interest. Even if it's painful, he'll ask me to do the things that are painful. And he didn't He never forced, all he did was just show and demonstrate. And once I began to see what I saw in the eXp model, which is there's an opportunity for when people are willing to become leaders, which for me meant do something outside of what I did for the last 22 years.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for leaders to be compensated for what they're doing.
Yes.
And to me, what I've come to know a leader is someone that is willing to take someone from where they are in their life to where they want to be.
Yes.
And, I had done, I think, over 1,200 transactions over my career. It's been a privilege to help families.
Yes.
And sellers and buyers. And at some point, though, doing that over 22 years, it felt like it was just something that I was able to do in my sleep. And it wasn't challenging me so much. And when Aaron would ask me to do things like go out and speak in front of some people and teach them some things, yeah, that was painful and it was uncomfortable for me to agree to do that. And yet at the same time, when I was done with those experiences of pouring into others, this filled up. It was like, I'm alive again.
Nice.
So I knew that was the right direction. So it wasn't necessarily just a move because it was a great, ideal financial model, but it was an opportunity for me to do things and guide people to where they wanted to be and be compensated for the process. And I didn't realize the value. I actually made the decision because Aaron made the decision and I trusted him. And then once I got into eXp and I'm like, wait a minute, all of this, there's the rev share, there's the,
Equity.
the equity ownership and all these opportunities for not just me, but the people that are entrusting me and choosing to come forward while I guide them through their career, for them to have that same opportunity. Right. And there's no limits to it.
Right.
So having seen that, I couldn't unsee it.
Yes.
And then I had to make a very tough decision to leave that position with that previous brokerage, and I had ownership in that brokerage.
So that cost money.
It did.
That was an investment.
Yeah, I had capped that year with that brokerage. I left, quite frankly, I didn't leave. I had stock and ownership, and I left with nothing. So that was, and yet I saw everything where I was going. So it wasn't about the money. It was not about what I was leaving. It was about where I was going and the opportunity.
Yes.
And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. So.
Me either.
Fast forward a couple years now, and it's a privilege to be here and be working with people like you that shoulder to shoulder that have common interests.
Yes, and in partnership. And you speak to something that I don't hear a lot about. So let's talk about that for a minute. I heard recently the expression, in the first third of your life, you learn. In the second third of your life, you earn. In the third third of your life, you return. You give back. So my salt and pepper may give away. I'm in the third third.
I guess based on what I'm doing right now, I'm in the third third also.
And I'm certainly in the third third of my real estate career. Let's put it that way too, right? So we both have 23 years. And so at this stage of my career, and this is my second career, that I want to give back.
Yeah, and a good example of that would be just 6 years ago. I've known Aaron, our mentor and leader,
Novello.
for 15 years, and I chose to start coaching with him 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I'm 56. Okay, I'm not afraid to say that. I was still on a hamster wheel. Right, when I started coaching with Aaron. And one of the first things that he asked me when I started coaching with him is where are your reserves and what are you investing in? And what does that look like? And I looked at him and I said, reserves? And then I said, investing? And I was 50 when he asked me that question. And I think to myself, if he hadn't asked me that question then, this last year where 2024, where literally, I'll admit this, I was writing checks to be in business. I was. I wouldn't have had the ability to write those checks. And the way I look at it is, Again, last year I was measuring it all on my deals, my
Sure.
production.
On production.
What I will say is, and there was a part of me internally that was saying, you're a failure because of your production. And you were writing checks to be in business. But now that I look back on this last year, if Aaron hadn't told me that 6 years ago, I wouldn't have reserves. And to me, these reserves over the last year, it's like I was writing my checks for tuition. And I was learning and becoming a different person
In the school.
in the school so that I could fulfill this now new role. And, he's given me the ability in the last 6 years by pointing these things out to where I don't have to worry about the fact that if I want to choose to coach or if I want to choose to bring people to this model because it could be a great thing for them and they don't have to be on a hamster wheel for their entire life,
Right.
I'm okay. Financially, I'm in a place that I can do that. And if he hadn't asked me that question 6 years ago, I wouldn't have this as a choice. So
Powerful.
that's just one aspect of what we're learning together and
Yes.
what we've done this last couple of days at this event.
Yes. We just went through the Do More Deals Summit together here in Fort Lauderdale with Aaron Novello from Elite Builders at eXp, and the thought leadership that we have participated in also shows the future of real estate and what everyone is going to need. But from what you're also sharing with us, Mark, is that being a part of Elite Builders is also an exit strategy for very experienced agents who've been doing a lot of production who now really want to give back. When we sometimes think about people changing brokerages, they do it in the beginning, or they're going to choose one in the beginning of their career. But what is also the right brokerage for successful agents at the end of their career?
Oh, yeah. And the only way that that can happen, and I think it's interesting, when I was with my previous broker, I went to the person that was the owner of the brokerage when eXp first came about, because I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, they have no brick and mortar. They're saving all the money on expenses on rent and all of that. And they're saving money on staff. And now when I spoke to this person, they said, well, that's just hocus pocus. Revenue share is not real. And that was the only answer that they could give to me because they had never taken the time to study what was real and what the model was. And in all reality, that's how, when someone chooses to be a leader in this platform, that's how they can be financially rewarded. Because takeaway, and it was brilliant. I think Glenn Sanford said at one point in time, I heard him speak. He said in 2000, just before 2009, he was running another company, and he said, and because we had gone through hard times, remember 2008 was a really tricky time, and he said we chose to eliminate the expense of offices because they couldn't, quite frankly, they wouldn't stay in business if they didn't get rid of the expense. And so then one of his agents came to him after they had moved down the road of that, financial, hiccup. It wasn't a hiccup. It was 2008 was a tough time.
It was a cliff.
And they said to him, when am I going to get my office back? And Glenn Sanford went aside and he's like doing the numbers and he's like, maybe we shouldn't ever have offices back again. And he took that concept and that idea to the company that he was working for at the time, and they said, oh, no, this will never work. And because they wouldn't, he had the courage to step outside of that, and he went and did it himself. And now look where it's at today. There's 22 models right now that are copying this model. So it must be working.
It's a sign of success.
Yeah, I guess so.
What is that expression? Imitation is highest form of flattery.
Yeah, exactly. And
he was the trailblazer.
Yeah, and yet the only answer that the person that was the owner of my brokerage at that time could give me was, oh, no, revenue share could never work. They never studied it.
Yeah.
It's like they never took the time. And I'm just grateful for people in our organization, like Aaron, who did take the time.
Yes.
And is leading our way and our path. And who has attracted people like you to guide me through things like this.
Well, I appreciate that, and ditto back at you, because we all have different specialties and different experience that we bring to
Yeah.
elite builders. And I use this analogy all the time of the beach ball from Susan Scott, Fierce Conversations. We're all standing on a different color of the beach ball. We all bring a different perspective. And from there, right? So we were, as an example, we were in the Do More Deal Summit yesterday, seeing all of the different ways in which an agent can now help a client and be a real estate consultant professional.
Give them choices.
With more choices.
Yeah.
And so my operational brain went right to, wow, what's the checklist for that? We have listing checklists, but now we need cash deal checklists, and we need wholesale checklists, and we need ownership checklists. And so what does that look like? And those need to be developed now.
Yes.
And so it was like, wow, okay, well, therefore this partnership, right, has the ability to allow everything to evolve, and for we all get to go together.
Yeah.
I don't develop it and then keep it from you because now that's my competitive advantage.
Correct.
No, I develop this, I share this with you so that we can all rise together.
So here's where, let's get to the nut cutting, all right? When the value that this person brings to an agent's experience is when we're suffering in our business because we're not willing to look at systems, which, I'm sorry, that's the last thing that I ever want to think about. Through my whole career, all I cared about was where's the next deal, right?
Yes.
But when we've got someone that has our back and they're in our organization and they want to step forward and like, here, let me share this with you to make things easier and this with you, it's a no-brainer.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to work with you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
My
we
pleasure.
hope we have brought you something that is useful to you, and if we can help you, then send us a message.
Yep, look forward to it. Since you got on the call, kind enough to share with me that your goal is to focus on sellers, and yet you're doing a buyer's event.
That I need to do. I have the wrong mindset in that aspect, because mine is like, let me keep focusing on the expired role play and like all these role plays so that I can get a lead at least. And then I'll focus on the listing presentation when it's time, which is the wrong mindset, and I should practice it no matter what.
I did expireds a lot, especially 2008 to like 2013. They started to dry up because the market improved, but now we got a lot of expireds in Orlando.